What's up, everybody? It's your favorite three ways favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the Fanstoys Thomas. Subject of a lot of discussion these days. I'm not finished talking about it either. I got this from Nick the Toy Guy. His contact information is in the description. He usually tends to have a few unaccounted for, but by this point, who knows? I'm anxious to take a look at this guy. This is how he comes out of box. Also, you'll notice the new review space. I've been waiting for kind of a figure with some bite to it to kind of utilize this. It was time to switch it up a bit. So we're going to talk about this guy. We're going to go through all the modes for better or worse, but first we're going to talk about accessories. So he comes with this gun, and it looks nice enough. This bit folds up. There's other things that this can do, but we'll show it to you. It's painted, sculpted nice enough, and it has your tab on the handle that you'll find will secure nicely in the palm of his hand. The weapon will plug in to the side of the vehicle, the space shuttle rather, right there. And you can store the gun in train mode right underneath there, which is quite nice. So he also comes with this chest piece. It's a parts forming piece. We do have gray paint, plus red, plus metallic purple, plus black, plus yellow for the details. And then on the back, they even have black paint for no reason. So a lot of pride for sure in this. Tolerances are a little wonky. One fin moves a little easier than the other, but yeah, good enough. And that will simply just peg into his chest. And he comes with one super angry face, which is kind of appropriate given the drama that's come from the pre-orders with this guy. But yeah, one super angry face. And lastly, he comes with 3 sections of track. They are all connected. They have hinges at 2 locations. Yeah, there. And we'll talk about this a bit more. There is some sculpted detail in here at a couple different places. This piece rotates also. Like I said, there's more to show here, which we'll show here in a minute. But there's pegs, and then there's these sculpted details on some of the tracks here and there. I'm not sure why they chose this translucent. It seems a bit strange to me, but that's fine. You know, it's fine enough. Of course, you can put the train on the track, as it were, and sort of slide them up and down. It stays on, like it's. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's not like it's locked in a little channel there for the most part, so that's nice. But let me show you what the best thing is about these tracks. So you have this piece here that you can flip up. Anything that you see that looks like it can move, move it. There's these pieces here, push them down. That'll get you a little leverage on this side. Now that hinges back onto itself, and you'll find that there's 2 slots there that it'll fit into nice and securely. Then you have these 2 pieces, and these are a little bit more challenging for me to get to, but take my word for it, they do raise up there. And that's a little bit of a tolerance issue there, but not the biggest deal in the world. You'll see that there's 2 slots there. And now you have this contraption, and then you can peg it into the bottom of Astrotrain. And that is an awesome look. Very cool way to utilize that base. I don't know what else to say about it. I love it. I love it an awful lot. All right, so in typical Fanstoys fashion, there are a couple things to do right out of the box to get them transformed. My wings, for one, were kind of all over the place, cattywampus. I had one up, one down. You can have them both down if you want, just aesthetically, if you like them both up a bit. They're on a sliding rail, and the tolerance for it is pretty good. So if you thought that like it looked a little bit better, you know, up, you can do it. It's your world. You can do whatever you'd like. But just make sure that they're even so it doesn't look absurd like mine looked. The other things are on the back, on the pieces here, you have a little bit of leeway. It came in the box like this. I just put it up against there. I think that's the official transformation. Here on this butt flap, there's 2 pieces here. One's here and one's there. Tuck those in, and then that will sit a bit more flush. Bring down this thing. It doesn't go flush, but it goes close enough, I think. And the heels have to spin 180, I believe. But they still don't give you a nice flat surface, so... you know, it doesn't really matter, right? Whatever gives you the most leeway is what you should work with there. Whatever works best for you. All right, let's talk about the figure. So, first of all, this thing is very well painted. It's a gray flat paint that at first I was put off by because I'm used to the metallic paints with Fanstoys. However, the kind of I don't know, contrast between the flat gray versus the metallic purple that's everywhere ends up working for me quite nicely. So I think it's beautiful. It presents beautifully. And then we have the red translucent here, and we have the yellow paint on the head. Speaking of the head, we'll just go ahead and get started. Go ahead, stop it. All right, so we have the metallic red eyes, looks fantastic. I love that they went back to metallics. The white paint on the face looks good. The metallic purple looks outstanding. The metallic yellow looks great. So this feels like a hinge swivel, but it could be something else inside of there. It's all taking place inside the head, but you get up to there, but you don't get much down, which is a bit of a bummer for a bot this size. When I've been posing this guy for pictures and such, I've found myself wanting to get more of a downward angle. But it does have a sculpted neck on it as well. Alrighty, so then we have the shoulders. It's a universal joint, ratcheted. Gets you just about, it's a little shy of 90 degrees, but just about. And it's a soft ratchet around. So hard ratchet out, soft ratchet around, a little bit of sculpted detail. Bicep swivel tolerance wonderfully, I might add. Double jointed elbow. Love to see it. Love to see it. Then we have a wrist swivel. Unfortunately, it does get ate up due to the sculpt. And like you can't do certain things like have him support his weapon with his hand, which is a bit of a bummer. But take that as you will. And then you have the individually articulated fingers pinned at a primary and secondary knuckle, and then we have the thumb, which is on a ball peg into the base of the hand that comes out to a primary knuckle. All right, the red translucent we already talked about, and then the metallic purple sliver paint work looks fantastic. Articulation is the same for the other side. We do get a waist swivel. It's ratcheted. Quite nice. Hip skirts, they'll get up and out of the way. For universal joints that are just tensioned out to the side for the full Van Damme. Forward and back, you get stopped a bit by the backpack. Forward, you're good to go. And that's kind of okay anyway. Thigh swivel, little squeak there. Little squeak there. Not the biggest deal, but not like the Fanstoys squeak that like shatters windows, but just a little squeak. All right, for the knee, ratcheted, double jointed. Only gets you 90 degrees, but not bad, especially for a big bulky character. I'm good with that. All right, ankles. No ankle tilt down. You get a slight ankle tilt up. You get a great rocker. You can get more there. So it's really tight though. And then let's see what else we have. We have the back. So not the prettiest view from the back, but you know what? It's not terrible either. Not as clean from the front, but I mean, if I had to pick a side to have it clean on, you know what I mean? I definitely would choose the front. So not hateful. This is the only section that feels off-putting to me, the side pieces here. There's a number of things with this guy, which I'm going to save a little bit for final thoughts, but there's a number of things with this guy that don't feel 100% like locked in. These sliding pieces here, the wings, etc., that does give a bit of an unfinished feel to it. Still relatively minor, I might add, but worth noting as a kind of a criticism. Scale-wise, there he is with the Masterpiece Seeker, so he's just a slight bit taller, which I think is really appropriate, looks great, and then there he is next to DX9's offering, you know, which has served his purpose. He has kept that spot warm for a long time, but I think it's time for him to move on to a different place with individuals who hopefully can give him a different type of love. But, you know, big aesthetic difference here. Big aesthetic difference. I don't really think any more needs to be said than that. And there he is in my diorama for the Golden Lagoon. And he fits in nicely. You know, looks good with the other ones, only missing my Blitzwing to go there. And then I got another shelf for the books. So let's get him transformed. Untab the backpack. And it's like on an armature here. Bring that out. You want to untab the head, this whole section here from the back. Spin the head 180, rotate these flaps that are sitting alongside his head up. And these pieces here, as a FYI, you can have these pieces up and about in robot mode. I'll show a picture or something of that here, just so you can see what it looks like, I think, which is more cartoon accurate. Don't quote me on that. I'm not exactly sure. But just so you know, I got sidetracked. You also can flip this around. All right, for the hands, you can put them away by opening up this panel. Now that one opens up really easy because you got a ton of leverage behind it with this flap, but don't get yourself too spoiled because this one does not. But then you can rotate that hand in, and then you can put this piece back. This piece has to flip back onto itself, and then it flips back up. Part 2. Open that up. Open this up. Come on, girl. Spin this down, back onto itself. Rotate the hand in and the thruster out. Boom. Next, we have to bring the shoulders up. So they're on this purple piece is on a hinge here. And the instructions say to just, because you got to fold the head in and stuff, but just get them out of the way because we're going to deal with the chest next. So get them up and get them out of the way. Now untab the chest, and as you do, be careful because they flap all over the place, but untab the chest from the sides. And the problem with this for me is that it takes a significant amount of force to kind of get them untabbed, but you don't want to put a whole lot of work into them because they're just holding on with 2 screws here. Now, speaking of which, that piston there will slide on those screws. Keep that in mind. As you pull up on this piece, the 2 chest pieces have to come back down and around and fill in that gap. And it's just a matter of making sure you got it right. Take this piece and move it back down and collapse the chest. All right, for this next bit, the shoulders have to slide forward. Do you see how they fill in that little groove, so to speak, all the way to the front? No. Then get them up and out of the way again so that you can get your head section back up against it. Now, oh, we probably want to have this turned also. So make sure that you got, I think, the purple on the outside. All right. Now, we got to get this section up between the shoulders and sit on the other side. Sheesh. Not impossible, but just takes a little bit of doing. Now you can tab together the forearms, and then the next thing that you want to do is open up this compartment here on the side of the forearm. Once it gets up, you'll see the yellow translucent. Spin that 180, fold that back down. We're going to do the exact same thing here on the other side. It's a tricky little thing to get to, so have a tool. Spin it up, spin it around, spin it down. Then we have to get this piece tabbed in. It has 2 pegs there, and they go in right there where the shoulder meets. This bar here is a slider, so get it in position, and then tab it in. And then bring up your bottom pieces and start tabbing all this in. And it's a bit of a pain. I don't have any great tricks or tips for you. Just keep squeezing until you get it together. So I eventually got it. And I know you're supposed to put in these 2 tabs here first and then the arm second. I can tell you I did it numerous times with different results. I had my buddy Joe come over and give it a shot. Eventually I got it by luck of the draw. So just keep at it, Springer, my boy. Helps a hand. All right, now you got to get these hip skirt panels flipped around. And they're a tight little tolerance too, but just flip up the panels and spin these 180, tuck them back in, move your wings towards the back of the space shuttle. Spin the heel so that the yellow part forms the front of the engine. On the back, open up your butt flap here, and there is a button right there that will allow these two hinges to drop towards the center. That button unlocks it. So once you have it unlocked, it'll get the legs closer together. Flip this tab open here, and basically everything that opens up, you want it to open up. So we want to take this bit out and up, and then unfurl all of this, and it's definitely Fanstoys squeaks, so use caution. You break the foot in half. Very poor choice of words. Collapse that towards the front, and then Combiner Wars the leg in. Be mindful of all your bits and pieces until you get it in line, and then you move that back down and kind of collapse and clean up on top. We're gonna go ahead and repeat that. So open up here, spin out to the side, spin up to the top, open up what you can, split the foot in half, Combiner Wars the leg in. It's a little bit of an Henri joint there. Bring this down and kind of get all of this lined up. And then you can secure everything together. And it also has to latch into the hip section. On the bottom, collapse your butt flap down to fill in that space. So there's a lot of flaps to flip here. Start here with the wing, flip that piece down. Bring this piece up, this flip the flap, and then we're gonna flip the flap, slide the flap, and it's actually two slides. So it's one on the bar on this piece down, and one on the bar on this piece down. And then you want to get that notch here on the side of this hinge. And once you have that, you have another flap here, flip that towards the inside, and then bring this entire piece down, make sure that gray part's out of the way. Tuck it up in that cavity, so to speak. Now on the underside, flip this piece down, tab in that tab to the body, and then this tab into there, double hinges to keep the wing in place. So let's do it again. Flip this tab in, flip this flap up, flip this flap, flip the purple flap, slide, slide, slippity slide, until you can reach the other side, so to speak. Bring that down. Make sure your gray piece is out of the way. All of that should tuck up in there. On the underside, you're gonna flip that flap down. You're gonna tab in this tab into the body. And then you're going to take your gray piece here and connect it into the wing. And that keeps it all pretty much secure. I'll mess with it a bit and clean it up. Connect your back fin piece and bring down the shuttle cockpit, and I'll get it cleaned up. We'll take a look at it. So there it is in vehicle mode, and I'd say it's pretty terrible. Why do you ask? Because I'm pretty sure you're supposed to be able to fit Devastator, Megatron, Soundwave, the tapes, Seekers, all those guys up in there. But other than that, it's pretty great. So it does have a landing gear at the bottom that can fold up into the nose cone. It will roll because it has two wheels on the back wings here. It looks quite nice. All of the little kind of flip flaps that flip in order to make the aesthetics come through look great. These are on kind of hinges. These are on ball pegs, so you can get a little bit out of that. You can maneuver the flaps around. Once again, the kind of purple metallic versus the flat gray does end up coming through and looking quite nice. Plus the metallic cockpit windshields come through, which I don't believe that particular color palette is used anywhere else on the figure, so it's kind of nice to have that little break up there as well. And there it is next to Tiger Tracks. So sizable. I mean, it's smaller than a Seeker, I would imagine. Maybe not lengthwise by much, but widthwise by a ton. But very cool. All right, to get to train mode, you got to get these wings off. So just undo what you've done in the exact order that you did it. So untab all this stuff, and this little side panel here is an easy one to forget. Flip around. You want to get this piece, and I'm going to get it too. All right, and then you want to, this is the one piece, and it's very possible that I'm doing it wrong, but this piece here is just a little oddly tolerant in order to kind of get this wing around these wheels here. I could be doing it wrong. I'm willing to admit that. And then slide that down and flip this out. And we'll do that on this side as well. And I like, it's, Bobby sausage fingers, right? And I get it. I'm with the jokes. But I do like to be a little rough with stuff. Just so you can see, like, that it can handle it. Like, a lot of Fanstoys stuff, I feel like people are scared to death to break it, right? Because it's expensive and they're nice, and when you bought it, you don't want to damage it. But I often want to show, like, a lot of times they can take it. They're beefy in their own right. And that's my wife calling me. But you can see both of these are down. I gotta take that or I'm gonna be in real trouble, you know what I mean? On the back, open up this piece, and you want to split the legs. On the front, we have to pretty much undo the entire section that we did before. So you want to lift this up, you want to lift this up, you want to straighten the foot out, you want to de-combiner wars the thigh, and you want to close all of this up. And down. And same on this side. So, open, open, open. It's an on-reap knee joint. Extend, and then close, and close. Make sure that that fills in that entire section. And then just connect the legs to include your feet. And just work at it, typical kind of Fanstoys style. Just work at it till you got every little tab, nook, and cranny connected. Then on the gray side here, you kind of want to form a box. So move this flap over, and then this over, and then this gray piece has to plug in to the bottom of the train. And you're just kind of forming a hollow box using the front of the wings of the shuttle around the bottom or front of the train. Bottom front of the train, to be fair. There you go. Now you basically do the same thing for the top half. Split and undo the fin. Bring this one down on top of it. Bring the wings down. Fold these pieces towards the center and peg them in to the fin on both sides. And make sure they're nice and collapsed up top as well. Then we had to fill in the sides. So panel up, panel over, and I want to say there's another panel somewhere, but oh, there it is. This piece will come along and fill out, and then just start connecting. And same thing on the opposite side. Panel up, panel out. And actually, I don't think I mentioned that panel either, because that will help fill in some of that space. Start to plug in this small piece will come around, and this piece will swing around. And I didn't do that on the opposite side, so we'll go ahead and do that now. Then you got to connect your bars here. Just kind of get them lined up and then I've just been lifting one over the other. I don't know if that's the best way to do it or not, but it's what I've been doing. On the front, these pieces will detach and they'll slide, spin around 180, and then peg back in. And that's the same on both sides. And peg back in. And then lastly, flip these pieces out, and extend this as far as it will go. And bring this down on top and get it pegged in. As you can see, there's pegs on the side, there's pegs everywhere. You should be able to figure this out yourself. I'll get it situated. We'll come back and take a look at it. And there it is. And it looks good. I like it. I feel like this part is a little small, but for what it is, I think it's pretty impressive. It will roll solid as a rock because it's pretty much just a brick at this point. But I think it pulls it off pretty well. I love what they did with the train track here, like the wheels, like, yeah, man, what do you want? It's a train. I do feel like this part is a little disproportionately small. You know, alt modes aren't really a big deal to me. Truthfully, I wouldn't care if it had it at all. But if I was judging it, I'd have to say fairly, I feel like the back of it is a little small. Looks very cool though. Very cool indeed. Tiger Tracks. Final thoughts, let's get to it. So let's start with the negatives. There is some joint inconsistencies. We also see the return of the Fanstoys squeak from time to time in different joints. This is something that this company has struggled with forever. We go through ebbs and flows. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. You'll more than likely find yourself bumping into a few frustrating situations and circumstances as you move through the transformation process. If you move through the transformation process, I know that most of us do not. But if you do, more than likely going to come across one or two circumstances that are going to make you bump your head against the wall, one of which will definitely be in shuttle mode, getting the arms and the backpack to kind of collapse into one another. Outside of that, it's a good chance you could encounter a few other frustrating moments in the transformation. Another one that springs to mind is getting the back or butt plate to kind of come down correctly in train mode. You really got to make sure that the legs and thighs and knees are all sorted out. Now that's not as frustrating as the arm and backpack part. It's not as frustrating as some of the other Fanstoys transformations you've bumped into. In fact, it's not even as frustrating as virtual school during COVID. What's your password? That's just holding the number 2. That's not a password.
Daddy?
Yeah?
I have a question.
Okay.
How do you plot 3.75 on the y-axis?
Give me 1 minute.
How do you get this back to the forest?
To the what?
To the forest.
I don't know. It's your computer.
When is my break over?
I don't know. It's your break. You need to set an alarm?
I need to know what I need to get back to class.
Yeah, I don't, try now.
That's not it.
What do you mean that's not it?
I mean, that's not my password.
Did mommy write it down somewhere in here?
It's 2.
Just the number 2? I don't think so.
No, it's not just the number 2.
Hey Siri.
Good afternoon.
What in the hell is a y-axis?
Well, it's the first member, and you have to say it's the first member.
But it is frustrating nonetheless. And honestly, I don't really have a whole lot more. This guy's pretty well done. So let's just move directly into the positives. Positives-wise, what do we see a return of? A return to a broader or wider range of motion for articulation. And we're seeing it with a larger bot, which is even more of a bonus. And not necessarily something that we expect. Not only with Fanstoys' recent releases, but also with bigger bots and characters in general. But they kind of overcome it, which is nice. While the transformation isn't a walk in the park, there are a number of interesting things that happen during it that kind of give you that masterpiece moment of aha, which is also nice. In typical Fanstoys fashion, the paint is absolutely beautiful. It took me a minute to get adjusted to the flat gray, but once I did, I loved it. The sculpt is second to none. The materials feel great, heavy, solid, strong, durable. You know I put the big hand on it, and even during the big hand process, not a piece broken in sight. In many ways, it's the Astrotrain we've always wanted. In many ways, it's the Astrotrain we've always deserved. So for that, it's a strong recommend from me. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.